Oh no, it's gone. Why?
As soon as I got home, I couldn't help but scream. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't treasure the $5,000 ring.
Oh, that expensive looking one. My sister wanted it, so I gave it to.
No, it's not fine. That was given to me by my mother. Irreplaceable to me.
Oh, shut up. I'm the one who has been supporting you, so don't talk crap about my decisions. I'll divorce you if you don't quiet, okay? I could leave you anytime I want to, you know. All you have to do is say yes, I understand, and obey me.
I bit my lip and burst into tears at his arrogance. Fine then, if my husband, Dan, is go that far, then I also have an idea. He better not underestimate what in of. My name is Nora. I am a full-time homemaker who turned into an entrepreneur this year. I used to work as a nurse before I married, but I quit my work when I married at the request of my husband. Dan was working as a salesman for a company at the time of our marriage, but he changed his job to work in finance. He now works from home. Since Dan and I share the same home, our parents live nearby. Although we do live together, Dan's parents and my parents are both one parents who live very close to where Dar lives, and we have no kids. It's not that we didn't decide to have kids, but even after 10 years of marriage, we weren't blessed with a baby. After about 5 years of marriage, I went to the clinic once for a checkup and found some issues on my part. As for Dan, I don't even know if he has an issue or not, because Dan has never been to the clinic, no matter how many times I have urged him to do so. But I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to force him to go to the doctor for a checkup. For my part, I would be happy if we lived a nice life together as a couple. We don't have kids. My parents also didn't push us to have kids. It was always left up to me. But my mother-in-law, Lauren, had a completely different view. She would come to my house unexpectedly without telling me, and every time we met, she would ask if I had seen her grandchild. I could understand that she wanted a grandchild, but her constant asking about getting pregnant was stressing me out and was really getting to me. And Lauren also complains about my.
Oh, Nora, what's with the way you fold laundry? You're a housewife, so you should be careful.
What? Is there something wrong with? I'm just doing it normally.
Oh, you're always talking back. You're acting like that to Dan, too. No. You have to support your husband, Prof. If you can't do that, then you're not qualified enough to be his wife.
Every time she would say anything, always go like that. It could be a small thing, but when up, it becomes an unbearable pain. I have talked to Dan about it, but won't listen to me at all. And actually, even Dan was giving me time.
Hey, about your mom. I feel awful when she says such terrible things to you. You could at least talk to her about it.
You married me to be a family with Be My Wife because you wanted to. Just listen to what my mom has to say. And why don't you just stop complaining about the housework and do it properly? I'm busy with work, but you're doing.
Dan doesn't seem to want to get into with Lauren, who is really stubborn, always trying to make me feel guilty. And even though it was Dan who requested I become a housewife, he would always come down on me and say that since I wasn't busy when I was busy with household chores, just dealing with Lauren and Dan is one thing, but now another problem has come up. And that was Dan's sister, Justine. She has been my problem too recently. Justine is the same age as me and also married. She lived within 30 minutes distance apparently. She had a big fight with her husband, so she packed her bags and went back to her parents' house. If that was all there is to it, then there's nothing I can say anything about. But just like Lauren, Justine would my house without any notice and goes my house as if it was hers. Unlike Lauren, she's never been mean to me, but anything she wants for her house, she always wants it. And even if I don't like it, she'll still ask me if she can have it.
Hey, Natalie, this bag is really nice. Oh, I like these heels too. If I were you, I'd show them off too. You have so many expensive looking, why don't you give me at least one? Dan bought them for you anyway.
No, he didn't. I bought all of them with my own money a long time ago, and some with my savings. Got married. If you want them, why don't you buy yourself?
I don't have that kind of money, so why I'm asking you to give it to me. Oh, this ring is cute. And doesn't it fit my finger perfectly? I won't ask you for money, so please give me this one.
What Justine was looking at was a ring with diamonds on it. This ring was a precious thing that my mother had given me when I got married. My mother had told me that it cost $5,000, but how much it costed is irrelevant to this point. I was happy that my mother gave me this ring. So it's only natural that I could give up a precious ring, which is also my treasure. When I firmly refused, Justine had attitude and said, "Oh, fine." And she left the house angrily. I then decided to move the ring out drawer and put it into the bedroom, just in case. This way, the next time someone looks in your dresser, they won't know where you keep your rings. If I went this far, Justine would show up too. And one day, that day, I had gone to a nearby supermarket to buy ingredients for dinner. Normally, I would have gone home as soon as I had finished what I needed, but I happened to run into one of my neighbors, so we talked for about 30 minutes. After that, I was able to go back home without any incident. But as soon as I entered the living room, I felt somewhat strange. The arrangement of the furniture seems to have changed somewhat. And it wasn't just the living room. Things in the bedroom and the room used for storage looked like it was around. The first thing that came to my mind was Dan's presence. If there had been a burglary, Dan, working from home, would have noticed clearly. So he must know something. I knocked on the door of Dan's stud was working. He always tells me not to disturb him when he's working. But since it was an emergency, I had no choice. Hearing me knock, I hear Dan's voice, the door saying, "What the hell?"
I feel like some things in old had moved around.
Well, my mom was here earlier. Can I go now? I'm busy right now.
As soon as I heard what he had said, very bad feeling. No way. I panicked and headed for the bedroom. Then I reached into the back closet.
The ring which my mother gave me is...
I unconsciously let out a scream. Then Dan came into the bedroom, because he heard me scream.
Dan, my ring, it's missing. What shall I do? Where did it go?
At my words, Dan then said, "Oh yeah."
About that ring. Well, Mom took it. It seems like Justine wanted it. So to her. Justine was supposed to come and get herself, but she asked my mother to because she wanted to go to the beach.
Dan began to say this as if it was worry about. Dan must have known that the ring was an expensive gift from my mother, so he gave the ring away without asking. So I told Dan exactly what I was thinking. Then Dan's face turned bright red, raised his voice.
What's wrong with you? Don't complain to me when I'm feeds and provides for you.
This is not the matter of whether you feed and provide for me or not. I'm asking you why you gave the ring without my permission.
When I responded with a stronger tone, Dan became even more furious. He shouted, "If you complain anymore, I'll divorce you." At that moment, I just lost my patience. Why must I be treated this badly? I could not remain silent any longer.
Fine. Then let's get a divorce. I won't let you do what you want to me anymore.
So I began to take out a piece of pea kept in a cabinet in the living room, began to sign on it. When I returned to the bedroom, Dan like he didn't know what to do.
Here, these are the divorce papers. These are the papers when you signed before and threw at me when we argue. I'm going to go submit this now. Well, good for you. Now we are complete strangers to each other.
Dan had made a fuss about divorce, threatening me, saying I'll divorce our previous argument. At that time, Dan filled out the forms and threw them at Aaron. The crumpled divorce papers. I couldn't throw it away, so I kept it. Never thought the day would come when I would actually use it. Then I left Dan, who looked like he was panicking, not knowing what to do in a helpless situation, while I packed up my belongings. The things I needed to bring with me were few, and my suitcase was smaller than expected, and I was ready to leave immediately.
Well then, goodbye. Please live happily with your mother's sister who you love so much.
As I said goodbye, I left the house. I thought I heard Dan call my name out, but it was too late for that. Then I went to go file the divorce, and after, I decided to return to my house. A few days passed. While I was watching TV at my parents' house, my phone rang. I picked it up immediately, but before I could answer it, then I got another call. On the screen, I could see that Jess was calling me. While I was wondering whether to answer the phone or not, it hung up again. Then I received another call from Jay. This time, I was able to answer.
What's wrong?
Ah, you finally picked up. What do you mean, what's wrong? I've been calling you a million times. Didn't you pick up earlier?
The loud, piercing voice hurt my ears. Then, Justine continues.
Ah, well, hurry up and help me. The police are at the party. Just come over here anyway.
That's all she said to me, and then hung up the phone. So I got ready quickly and ran out parents' house, and I drove to the party venue where was at. I knew where it was without asking.
Oh, Nora, you're so slow. Hurry up and explain to him.
Justine was waiting for me as soon as I got out of my car. She pulls me by the hand, and I follow. Justine opened the door to the banquet hall loudly. And there, I saw people who I've seen before, and that was because they were holding middle school reunion. At the venue was the middle school where I went. Actually, Justine and I were in the same class when we were in middle school. Of course, I was invited to the reunion, but Dan didn't allow me to attend at the time, so I couldn't RSVP and go to the reunion in the end. I looked at the policeman as if he were just another person, and he was smiling awkwardly at me. And he, with his own hand, took a knife and cut off his own head. His name is Hugh, and in order not Justine escape, he moves in front one.
He's accusing that I stole this ring from your house without permission. That's not what happened, right? Nora, you gave this to me, right? Right?
Justine held the ring in front of it looked like she was begging me, her desperately. Of course, there was no way I would play along with her.
Your mother came into my house and ring without my permission and you're wearing it without my permission. I never allowed you to wear the ring.
Justine bit her lip in frustration. But it looks like she still won't get the ring.
If you give it back to me here and now, I won't make a big deal out of it. If you don't want to do that either, then you'll know what'll happen, right?
When I said that, Hugh took one step to Justine's direction. Perhaps intimidated by the power of who's really tall, Justine finally handed the ring to me.
You could have at least given it to me. You're such a stingy, cheap woman.
Hearing what she had said to me, it seems like Justine hasn't learned her lesson yet. Well, if that's the case, I have, Anne. I took a deep breath and spoke as clearly as I could.
Oh, is that what a person who took Dollar's ring without my permission saying? Maybe we should go talk to the police together after all. Oh, and of course your husband should be there too. I know you're living separately with husband. After a huge fight, you had sure he'll fly out right away to see happened, right? Good for you.
My voice was pretty loud enough, and in the hall was staring at us. Justine, who had attracted attention not only from her classmates, who were aroused, but also those at the edges of the hall seemed to be really embarrassed. Her face turned bright red and her all teary. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. She said, "This is terrible," and ran out of the banquet hall while hiding her face. I hope she will reflect a little on her behavior and attitude now. I felt a little bad to have spoiled reunion as everyone was enjoying Bet happened. I apologized to my classmates and the venue. Then Hugh said to me, "I'm glad you ring back."
Oh, I'm so sorry, Hugh. I'm sorry you had to help me with just because you became the police.
Indeed, I knew in advance that just surely wear the ring to this reunion. Justine had told me that she would ring when I called Dan to inform him of filing the divorce papers. If Justine had regretted not wearing that ring at the reunion, I would have been embarrassed in front of many people. But since I wasn't there, I have no idea what was going on inside the party venue. So I contacted Hugh, who is now a C officer, and asked him to call Actually, I was supposed to get a C Hugh, but it was unexpected that Just called me when Hugh approached her.
Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, yeah. Why don't you just go ahead and attend the reunion? One of us has left, after all.
Hugh explained the situation to the organizers of the reunion, and they granted him permission. Finally, I was able to attend the reunion. I felt like I was back being a mid-student again, and had a great time. Sometime later, Justine seemed too embarrassed to stay in. Her hometown, before I knew it, she had moved out. I thought she had gone back to her, but apparently not. I don't know where she went, but we'll never cross paths again. Justine must be really sad that she can no longer stay at her house, which she loved so much. And Lauren seems to be quite shocked by her daughter's disappearance, as Justin didn't. Tell her where she went after his son's divorce and is now living alone. This is what Lauren and Justine desire. Oh, and my ex-husband contacted me that day. He said that he wanted to start over.
I never intended to divorce my husband.
He cried to me over the phone, but there was no way I would ever get him anymore. Dan couldn't do any housework at all, but he felt horrible about it and was very grateful to me for helping him. A mutual friend of ours told me that he saw Dan at the supermarket wearing a crumpled shirt, looking exhausted, and carrying a large amount of groceries. So there was no doubt that Dan was what had happened between us. Seeing how dirty and exhausted he looked, it seemed like his neighbors were making rumors about him. I hope that Dan, Justine, and Lauren will reflect back to what they had done. As for me, on the other hand, I was getting a job as a nurse, just as I had gotten married. Despite the blank period I had of being a nurse, I am doing my best now, and I'm happy to be able to be involved in a job that is so rewarding. I may be a divorcee, but I am happier than ever in my life right now. And I learned a lot from those 3 years, not to be with this kind of people and like them. I also definitely learned that you can have a good, happy life if you do things other people wouldn't like, or if you do things other people's things. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.